It's a dirty CPC 464 video. Before we begin today's ChinnyVision is very, very different. But if you want a much longer version of this video, then go to ChinnyVision 2, link in the description below, where you'll get a 55-minute version, much longer, much more detailed version of this video. Or stay here on ChinnyVision 1 for this video, which is going to work out at about half an hour. So choose your fighter now. Hello and welcome to a very different looking ChinnyVision. Yes, we're on my phone. That's just a function of how much time I've got to do this video today. I can't really do the full setup. And also because I've had this sitting in my office for about a month. It's a CPC 464, kindly sent by Kamikaze UK, so thanks to him. And what he said was, after the 464 video I did, perhaps I could show what you need to do when you get a brand new CPC in that you bought on eBay that's untested, that's very crusty. Now, I'm not a computer restorer. I'm the kind of person, in classic car terms, that has lots of cars in his driveway. They all work, they all drive, they're all fine, but they aren't the kind of cars that, or I'm not the kind of person who has a garage full of pristine cars that never go out in the rain. So what I'm not going to do is retro bright, pull it apart, clean every component out and make a big deal out of it for a computer I've probably got no interest in, as some of these people do. I'm going to do what I do when a 464 comes in and it's mine. And this, you can see it's a daily driver 464. It's not pristine. It's got some marks that might come off there. And that feels like a scratch in there. It's nice enough. It's a pre-1988 model. And we know that because of the Amstrad logo. And we also know that because if we plug it into this monitor here that didn't come with it, it's the green screen I bought with the channel phones a while back. We plug that in there. And then we can see the main board goes all the way down there, as you'll remember from the 464 video. Later revision CPCs have really small boards up to about there, whereas the original ones have the older ones have the board that goes all the way down. Now, again, this isn't a vintage radio, so what we're not going to do is plug it into a special power supply, slowly ramp the voltage up until it all works and all that stuff. No, it's a CPC. We're just going to see if it works. They're common. Right, that's not good. Does the CPC have sound? Right. I'm typing in some colours there just to see. We've got a computer that's working. Mode 0, mode 1, reset. So CPC's working. So I'm sorry for the flickering there. I'm going to move that down there. Move this back down. Oh dear. So it's much better having a normal camera on a tripod. But again, the other thing I didn't want to do was have a honking great big camera in the way when I'm trying to work, because it's just too much stress and hassle. So I think the CPC is okay. The most likely problem here is corrosion on the monitor socket's going to be our first problem before we clean it up. So I just want to make sure that's working. Just give that a squirt in there, because I think that's probably, I know, unless this monitor stopped working in the last day, which granted is entirely possible, I suspect, and we give that, oh look, yeah, I can see corrosion in that 5-volt port there. Let's give it a bit in there and let that dry. Let me just get some tissue just to wipe up the surplus. So we'll let that work. Deoxit gold is really good stuff. I mean, it's lethal. It's really expensive, but it's really good as a contact cleaner. It's better. I've got some RS stuff, kind of standard contact cleaner. That works, but this stuff is brilliant, and it should just work in a few minutes. I can see a little bit of corrosion on those once I've got it open in there as well, and it's a bit crusty. I mean, there's lots of things you can do when you're kind of restoring, getting a machine working. This isn't a restoration, it's getting a machine working, as it turns out. You can even dismantle the keyboard and wipe over the membrane, for example. And I don't suggest doing that for 1 second unless you've got a problem, because it's 35-year-old plastic, right, getting off 40-year-old in some cases. You take that membrane apart, keyboard apart, you've disturbed it. Generally speaking, things are best left well alone. If it works, then just kind of generally leave it and it should be fine. That fault there with the monitor, by the way, I think was the sync pin not getting through to the monitor because it wasn't syncing. Here we go. Right. Good. I think we are there. Hang on, I'm holding the phone here and it's going to flicker on this one anyway. Right, that's now stable. I know it's flickering with you, but it is now stable. Really, really crusty monitor output socket. You wouldn't believe how crusty it was. But now we have a 464 that's on. Good-o. Right, I've got rid of the monitor because it's just going to get in the way when I'm cleaning this up. But we do have a working 464. I'm just going to assume the tape deck doesn't work. I think I've been told that, in fact. But what we've got here and the things you're going to need are, to do this, as we've seen already, some deoxit. You are going to need some isopropyl alcohol. I also recommend you get some kind of, I'm not going to show you these, I can't show those because they're given to me by a client and they are not electronics wipes, they are medical wipes, but they do the same job. But you're going to need some kind of isopropyl wipe, usual tools and cotton buds and things that have all fallen over there. I've also gone to RS and got an RS Pro 5 volt power supply, a 2.5 amp. I actually had it plugged in for testing on this to make sure the monitor power supply was okay. It is, yeah, 2.5 amp from RS, and I wanted a 3 amp one really, but if I'd ordered a 3 amp one, well, I did order a 3 amp one, they kept pushing the dates back until the they told me the other day it was going to be 26th of January, and I thought that's too much. So I went for 2.5 amps. I think 464 requires 2 amps, 2.1 amps, I think. Checking that from memory. Have a look underneath, see what it says. 2 amps. 2 amps. Amstrad helpfully tell you underneath. So there's plenty of leeway on one of these supplies, and it's RS, so it's good. You can get these from retro suppliers, but I'm always wary about the quality of them. Frankly, you know, for a few pounds extra, you got one from RS that comes with a proper spec sheet, and you may as well just do that. So yeah, I've got that. And then I've been to Retro Computer Shack. You know Ian Priddy's outfit. Retro Computer Shack for a SCART lead, because you're going to need one of those to plug it into your computer. I go for the powered ones. There's an unpowered and a powered ones. And what the powered ones does is you plug the power supply into it, and then it uses the 5 volts to power the RGB select pin. And you're going to need a screwdriver, which I've got over there somewhere. And really, the first thing I want to do is, I guess, open them up and have a look and see what is inside. Look, the camera's all off. I mean, Big Clive gets this stuff right. I don't, do I? This is a very botched together setup. So first thing I'm going to do, I think, is actually open it up, and it'll be easier to clean. Oh, it's crusty. Ho, ho, ho. Oh my. Crusty or what? Should we do a Big Clive and go in close? Can we do that? Right, what we got? Oh dear, we've got week 2786 on the Z80, which is just there, and any other dates on here? But yeah, it's an 86. I'm so smug about that. I'm so smug about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, blimey. There was a meeting at Amstrad, and the sugar didn't look at the fact there were 10 screws holding the main board in, going, these screws cost me 1/4 each. Why using so many? Too bad underneath. That's the colour the main board should be. You're madder. 86 5th 20 86521. Orion. See that in there? You don't always see Orion marks on the boards. There you go, Orion M201, is that motherboard revision 201, MC0002D, 21st the 5th, 86, which is either when this was built or more likely this redesign happened. Let's give this a wipe down with me wipes, usually reserved for hospitals and clean rooms and stuff. Hey ho! Right, I'm going to say, look at the difference in colour there already. We start to clean this crusty old 46. Oh, crusty. Absolutely. Oh, I mean, I get computers in here. I know you see ones worse than this, but good God, this is a proper attic one, isn't it? Because someone would probably say, Chinny, you should have that on an anti-static surface, blah, blah, blah. It survived this long. Wood's anti-static, isn't it? I mean, if worst comes to worst, this doesn't work and I break it, this video ain't going out, right? So, it's actually sticky in places, this board. It's actually sticky. Think of it like a barn find Ford Escort or something. Are you going to... Well, if you've seen that channel, Salvage Rebuilds, they've got exactly the right attitude. They're a couple of lads down in Kent who have a salvage car rebuild business, but they also do kind of things like they've got an RS Turbo, I think. Escort RS Turbo down there. They're kind of Golf GTI and stuff. They're restoring themselves. And they look at it, each case, and just go, how far do we want to go with this? And I think, like any of this stuff, you just need to ask yourself how far you want to go with it. Really? I mean, the other thing you notice about 464 here is there's not a lot of capacitors on here. So, because some people will say, oh, you've got to recap it. You have to recap it. Oh, goodness me. We've got, what, one capacitor there, the rest are radials. Because everything's in the power supply, right? So, you know, that's why CPCs are generally... Someone told me off for saying, oh, CPCs are reliable in the 464 video. And saying, oh, it's a CPC, it will work. Well, yeah, because there ain't really an awful lot to go wrong. This isn't, I mean, compare that to a Spectrum, right? There's capacitors all over the place, resistors all over the place, chips. And of course, Amstrad get this down. They reduce it. They have even less inside the machine as the years go on, because Uncle Alan's all about cost down, cost down, cost down. I mean, you could, look, if you see there, although it's spread out in a weird way, let's just assume it's flux residue and get the worst of it off. And then that'll do, right? That'll do. I'll do some cleaning off camera off that, but we're now going to get some isopropyl and, oh, my fingers are sticky, and just go quick over isopropyl. Oh, I got this at the start of the pandemic, one of the last loads you could get before the prices went insane and you couldn't get it anymore. Just going to go around the chips and just get the last of the crud off it. Right, I ended up giving up on that to the extent it's now had an isopropyl bath out and is sitting outside because it really was that bad. Where's the rest of my wipes? There's the rest of my wipes. Cases, I would just generally give this a wipe down. Again, I might get the top out and just give it a small bath, which I won't show on camera. Just zoom me out a bit there, just to get it clean. More dates in there. bubbling on there? No, that's just some crusty moulding. Again, just need to clean really, and then I can deal with the top half. Right, I've just taken the top off the gate array chip there. Just going to wipe that off with isopropyl, because the thought occurs, A, it's going to be pretty scabby under there, but B, after 35, 6 years, whatever, of that being on there, that heatsink paste probably ain't going to be any good. So what I'll do is wipe that off there. And when you're taking that off, be careful of that resistor there, because you could knock it. I will clean that out there and then stick a bit of heatsink kind of cream on there, whatever it's called, and then pop that back on. You could, of course, just put another bit of heatsink on there rather than have this top hat. We will see. We will see when I get there. Right, the bottom is now in the sink, and of course it's a 464, so it's taking ages to, well, it doesn't fit in the sink, first of all. That's how crusty all my wipes are from the inside that 464. Ugh, I've never had one that bad. Now, we have a floppy belt that's sticky. I need to get in there and service this tape deck. So it's going to take some thought. What I don't want to do, if I can possibly help it, but I might have to. Right, I have thought about this. If we were doing a full restoration, we would take everything apart. I'm always reluctant to take apart machines with working keyboard membranes because they're undisturbed and they work, whereas when you disturb them, they stop working. So I'm going to try and leave the top of this as intact as possible. That may seem like an incredibly lazy way of doing it, but my logic is that I just don't want to disturb everything that's inside. So I think the first thing I want to do is just have a look at this tape deck and see what we have in terms of everything in here. The problem with doing this stuff on camera is you don't really get the chance to think through what you're doing. And again, it's been many years since I've done let's get that one off. That will come off relatively easily there. Can we get this one out without drama? Actually a rare thing to get the belt out in one. Usually they're just completely broken. Come on. You know what? That old belt is a bit perished, if you can see that, but it ain't in bad nick really. So what we got is our belt there, and I just want to make sure the same face is facing the same part of each cog. If I've got it right there, hang on, let's have a look. Can I go around there like that? It is. So that's the inside. Ah. And so there. Out there on there. It's not twisted, has it? I see why. Not quite going around that other, if you can see there. There we go. We are now a drive belt up. So that's good. We've got that bit done. I now want to work out why the tape counter, and if I can do something about that easily, or if I'm just prepared to say, leave it, Chinny, it ain't worth it. Right, I've been poking around. The tape counter is A, partially broken, B, has a belt on it that actually seems as intact as this belt I've taken out. It's not new, but it's certainly not the original one. There's still, I mean, that's the one that came out. That ain't kind of distorting, it ain't tacky or anything like that. I think that's a fairly new belt in there. So again, I could take this tape deck apart and people will be saying I should do, but I just don't think, again, for the use this machine's going to have, you've got to make a decision about what is worthwhile doing. And I don't think it's worth opening up the can of worms taking this tape deck apart is going to take, which is going to be taking this board out, disassembling it, or taking all this up with the risk of these springs here, and there's another one somewhere coming out. I just don't think it's worth it. It counts. It's partially broken because you can't reset it, and that means you need an entirely new counter because they're sealed as far as I know. So my view is, with great regret, I'm going to have to say I'm leaving that tape counter as it is. So right, let's get this back together. Another thing you need on your list is an air duster. So I'm going to give that a clean out. And then wipe it over on the inside. And for the tape deck, other than cleaning the heads, that'll be good enough. And one thing I'm going to do is, even though, and I have wiped over the insides now and just been over it, I'm going to deoxit the power supply, oh, we can't see that, deoxit the power supply, the power on and off, and the volume control. Because although it doesn't seem to need it, you never know what's in there. So we'll just give that a quick clean there. It doesn't have a crackly volume control or anything as far as I can see. But again, you never know what's lurking. So we'll just give that a scrub there. But that's not looking too bad now, really. Tape deck's going to need a clean, and we'll do that. Well, why not do it now, really, whilst the rest of the 464's outside. I haven't wiped over the top yet. I'm going to give this a wipe over on the inside with this because it's an isopropyl wipe, right? And then this will get the worst of the dirt off. And then I can use a cotton bud just gently with your finger because you can feel what you're doing there. Again, this is you're going to say, this isn't a pristine restoration like, whoever, whatever does, but I don't really care. It's about making a daily driver, right? We need another one of these, and we need some isopropyl, which is over there. The 464 that's drying in the sink, or the base of it in the sink. And you've seen me wipe there over the capstan roller, or the controller, and I shouldn't really have done that. But again, I just need it to be vaguely clean. Now I am taking most of the keys out, but I'm also using a blunt tool here just between the keys. And again, one of my wipes just to clean it all out. Again, you could take it all apart, but you can see down there where the membrane is. I'm just terrified that what will happen is that will get disturbed and keys will cease to work. And that's the real concern with a membrane keyboard of this age. You can get the keys out. You do need to be careful because they've got springs underneath them. So take a few out at a time is probably my advice, and just gently, because they are old and plastic, right? You don't want to very gently prise it out, and you can see there. And then I lose a screw on the floor, and that's what you're going to be really careful of. That's why I don't like taking them apart, because things will just fly off. You could, of course, wash all the keys as well if you wish. Again, I'm just weighing this up now, whether I want to do that or not. So I'm just progressing on with the keyboard key cleaning. It's very, very slow going. Just getting them out, giving them all a wipe really. I think that's as far as I want to go. But I'm definitely not taking any of the large keys out because they're separately mounted and you end up in a world of hurt. So you're going to end up just cleaning around them like that, I think, because if you're confident with taking keyboards apart, of course you can, but I've had so many troubles down the years. I got the ST back together just when I did it, but I'm always ultra paranoid about large keys and just how they all clip together and so on. It can be a pain. Ta-da! Still a little bit damp from the isopropyl. Also, I put it outside, and although it's dry outside, it's a cold evening, so there's a bit of condensation on it. But it's looking far better now it's been scrubbed off and washed. You can use a little brush when you're scrubbing as well. In fact, I did briefly when I was giving it the proper wash in the sink. But it's not pristine, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to have most of the rubbish taken off it. And then when it's completely dry, I'm going to do that. Put that little hat back on that with some heatsink thermal transfer compound. But yeah, I'll just let this finish drying off, I think. The next time you see this computer, hopefully it's going to be back together and working, but that's going to be tomorrow because I'm running out of time at the moment. So see you in a bit. It's plugged in, so let's see if it works. Yes, it does. Do we have anything on there? Well, it's moving, and that's a start. Well, here I am, and although the tape deck is slightly wonky because it doesn't have a pause button that works, or a tape counter that was working at the moment, doesn't reset or work properly, it is loading. Oh, good. Actually, more I can say for this quick shot that needs a service. This video is long enough, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about what I've been doing with the tape heads. Although most games loaded fine when I, got it out of the box, I had a problem with some of the modern speed load games not loading. So I realigned the tape heads and everything seemed to be okay, and then some of the older games became unreliable, and I don't have a scope or anything to adjust it with, so it's very much just listening to the tones and adjusting. Basically, in the end, it took me about 2 nights to get to a stage where most old games load and modern speed load games like Galactic Tomb load. However, I then found that some games like the budget re-release of Tomahawk that have a basic speed load at the start don't load. So the new owner of this is going to have to do some further adjustments, but it's literally been 2 nights of tiny adjustments, loading games only for them to get to the end and then fail to load. So I think I've done as much as I can with this 464 for now. At the end of the day, if you put a modern tape loading solution like a car cassette adapter or Bluetooth adapter or something in there, then all these points become moot anyway. So here's the massive box that the 464 needs to go into. Mrs. Chinny found one at work. Just about wide enough, but of course enough room for a whole other computer to go in there. But that's the way it's got to be. So the 464 is all nicely bubble wrapped. I'm going to do the rest in a minute, then pop it down to the village post office. But thanks to Kamikaze UK for the 464. I hope Geigerpunk likes this. Perhaps he might do a video. I've got no idea, because it's going to be a complete surprise to him when he gets there. So check the description, because you might see a part 2 of this video from the other side. Who knows? I've got genuinely no idea what's going to happen now. He may just kind of send it back saying I'm not having a rotten old Amstrad in my house full of C64s and cats. Who knows? So yeah, so perhaps there's more, but I don't know at this moment. So thanks to Kamikaze UK for the 464. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys all very soon. Cheers.